Okay. Okay, so I've done those two. Grammar quiz 1 is it should be in week 4. Okay, it was probably in week 3. GQ1. Let's go back and look at the answer here. Should be in week 2. Okay. Okay, I'm all right. Okay. Okay. Oh, good morning. Sorry, I was working on the missed quizzes. I'm getting those all going right now, so. Hopefully you have a copy of the sample argumentative essay. We're going to go over that in a minute. I do want to talk about what's coming up. Let me get into your class. I have a lot to keep track of. I mean, there's a lot of people that miss quizzes, so I'm just trying to make sure I keep all that together. So let me get into your class, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the final too, because a lot of what we do, a lot of what's going to be coming up over the next couple of days and stuff, or this week, is going to affect next week, which affects the final. So when you go into this week, we're going to go over, basically by going over the sample essay, we're going to talk about paraphrasing and quoting. Let me get in here. And then you have a draft due tomorrow night. We'll do peer revision on Thursday. And we have one more day. The paper's not due until Monday. Or is it Tuesday for you guys? Maybe Tuesday for you guys. Let me check. Yeah, your paper's not due until the 7th, next Tuesday. But if you don't have any questions for me, you can turn it in early. The earlier I get them, the quicker I can get them graded. So here's what's happening. I do not have it's not going to be in this week where you turn in the Whoa, that's interesting. What is going on? Okay. Something's happened, and I cannot show you my screen. This is awesome. I don't know. Let me see if they unplugged it somehow. I thought there was an issue with this earlier. I didn't think it was charging. Okay. Oh, this could get really quirky. I'm gonna disappear. Let me try it one more time, see if it's gonna show it. Nope. Yeah. All right. It is not. Let me see if somehow it got unplugged down here. Okay. That's plugged in. Oh, this is awesome. Okay. Well, what else can go wrong with technology? All right, that's hooked in. Alrighty, let's see. I'm going to see if I can get the IT guy that's in this building. My docking station is not working in room 832. And we'll hope he answers. The good news is I do have copies of the essay over here, so I'm not totally without a resource on to do this. So I'll just have to take some time. I'll go ahead and talk about it even though I can't show you anything. Let me try it one more time. Nope, it's not. Okay, awesome. Just what we need. Okay. Your final exam is made up of two parts. The first part is a discussion board, and on that discussion board, you will have to create 3 sections. This is worth 75 points. The 3 sections are divided into the 3 major essays you wrote. They are divided into the narrative, the compare and contrast, and then the summary/argumentative essay. And what you're supposed to do is tell me what the assignment was, what you wrote about, what kind of comments you got, what you did right, what you did wrong, and what you learned from the assignment. Hopefully you learned something. And you'll do that for each section. And this is something that you can start right away. You have access to it. Hold on. There's a way to do this. Let me see if this will work. This will be fine. I hadn't thought about using the document camera, but I think I can do that. Let's see. None of it. Power on. I have no clue why none of this is working. Well, it was a good idea, but not any longer. No wonder that's a problem. Somebody's been that close about it. Well, I thought I could do something. No. Hi, Reed. We're having some technical difficulties here today. I can't use anything up here. So everything's going to have to be done. Oh, wow. So, hey, let me know. Do you guys have copies of the sample essay in your hands? You do? Awesome. Haley, do you have it? Woman Union, you do have it? Because I can't show you anything. Nothing's working. This is now it's turned on. I don't know why nothing is working. That's awesome. Oh. The only other time I had something this bad happen, I'm giving final exams and the internet was down and the final exam was on Blackboard, so my SBC students couldn't access it. I had to leave, at least the kids at home could get to it at school. I had to run, go get hard copies made. It was crazy. So it could be worse, I guess. I thought it wasn't working. Yeah, there's no power coming over here whatsoever. But the power strip is on. One more time, I'm going down, guys. I wonder if my strip went bad. I think my strip went bad. It doesn't, it's plugged in, but it has no lights on it. I guess that's a possibility. All right, what's this? I'm gonna plug it into a different one. Oh, spam risk, awesome. Okay, no.
Hi, is Patty there?
Yes, I am. I don't know how it answered. That was strange. Okay, we're just gonna have to do this on the fly. So when you look at the sample essay, I'll talk more about the final exam. I'll just have to devote some time to it on Thursday, okay? When we're talking about, and Thursday you're gonna be doing peer revision, but the good news is that you don't have to have your comments in on peer revision until Friday, okay? That's at least one smart thing. So if we have to miss a little bit of time, but you're supposed to do two essays peer revised, all right? If we have them, I don't know. So, you know, let's just say. Did Caleb show up late? I think he showed up really late on last Tuesday, so. Yeah, it's what it was. So, all right, so we're gonna talk about violent video games do not cause violent behavior. This is really quirky, because I'm pretty sure there's some people in this class doing this essay. But I'm not, yeah, so somebody else now has gotten another source, okay? That's all I gotta say, you're lucky, okay? So I'm gonna go through it, and I'm gonna tell you stuff I can't show you, because nothing's working up here. I mean, there's no power. There's no power on anything. Okay, and I'll have to run down, and the good news is this won't take all class, so. All right, so I'm gonna read to you, I know that's boring, but we'll talk about it. But please notice how it's double spaced, there's not a header, it's a heading. You don't need to put on there your last name and the page number up in the heading, I don't care about that. I mean, up in the header, I don't care about that. Your papers are not gonna be that long. It took me until Saturday to finish all 94 of those character analysis from that huge class. So I'm like, you know, do not write more than 800 words. That's all I'm going to tell you. If you're over 800, it better be good, okay? All right, so at this point, and notice how the title is not a question. It lets the reader know the author's stand on the issue. Video games do not cause violent behavior. We know this person says they don't do it. And it's a pretty good paper, okay? At this point, it is an American tradition to blame media for acts of violence and bad behavior. Americans once blamed novels, television, and rock music for violent behavior, and now the new scapegoat is video games. An understanding of the rating system that games go through, the effect other people can have while playing a game, and the personality of the individual are all important factors that prove that video games do not create violent behavior. So there's a thesis, it states the stand, and it gives the three ways in which it's going to be analyzed. This is a little bit different than how I've been teaching you to do it, but it's okay. It's just reversed the two things. You're giving the three reasons that you're going to use to support it. So the first reason is you need to understand the rating system that games go through. The second is the effect other people can have. So A would be the rating system. B is going to be the effect other people that can have while playing a game. Have any of you ever played Halo or Call of Duty? You know, those multi-person online, and you're wearing your headphones, or you can hear the other players talking. And I always get tickled because when I have my sons playing and my grandkids are playing, I can hear it, and you've got these, 10-year-old kids cussing because they want to sound like, well, and one of the things that happens is, the behavior that people display in that because you're anonymous, people don't know who you are, right? And you can do things that you might not otherwise do, okay? And then the last one is, and the personality of the individual playing the game is also an important factor. So there's A, B, and C right there, and video games do not create violent behavior. So Second paragraph begins with a topic sentence. This is the same thing that I taught when we worked on the paragraph at the beginning of the semester. The rating of a video game is a critical factor. It goes right back up to A, the rating system that games go through. So we've got we've got a good topic sentence. We're on track for unity and cohesion. It says, similar to the rating system for television shows and movies, the rating system for video games shows the recommended age for the player. While there are many rating systems across the world, the one used in the United States is the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or ESRB for short. ESRB was created in 1994 due to the growing concern of violence and profanity in video games. And that makes me think about, let's see, the most violent video game that I know of was Grand Theft Auto. Okay? And it was the first release was in 2013, so you really wonder what in 1994, what they considered violent versus 2013, because Grand Theft Auto is a mess. Well, that was Grand Theft Auto 5. Sheesh. So, and that's the one where you get in your car and you run down prostitutes and stuff like that. You get points for killing people. Yeah, okay. The ratings in the ESRB, in 1994, due to the growing concern of violence and profanity in video games, the ratings in the ESRB can draw many parallels to the MPAA, which is the Motion Picture Association of America, which is the rating system used for movies. The M rating used by the ESRB is similar to the R rating used by the MPAA. This aspect shows that M-rated games are not recommended for children in the same way that R-rated movies are not recommended for children. Game stores do not allow children under the age of 17 to purchase M-rated games. So how do children gain access to M-rated games? Guys, I've told you many times, I don't like questions. The only reason this one's is okay is because it's answered right after it. The answer is most commonly a form of parental neglect. And I wonder about parents sometimes, because you see them taking kids to go see movies that are totally inappropriate for little kids. And they let them watch stuff on TV that's probably not appropriate. So they buy those violent video games. So part of the problem is not the game; it's the parents not supervising or restricting what their kids can do. But this could have been done not as a question. It could have been done as denying children access to M-rated games is important. Parents should not neglect their children by doing that. You could still get this point across. And now we've got our first quote coming up in that next to last sentence on or line on the page. As stated by Eric Kane in his article, "Violent Video Games Do Not Cause Violence," parents should think deliberately about purchasing these games for their kids. It's on the back here. Better still, they should be involved in the games their kids play as much as possible, so that they know firsthand whether the actions and images they're allowing their children to consume are appropriate or not. And then it's got Kane and parenthetical reference after that. Notice there's no page number. That's not going to be an issue on this one. But when I see a quote, the very first thing I do when I see somebody's name is I go over and look at the word cited. So when I go look at the word cited, which is on the back of your second page or your fourth page, depends on yours is front and back. I see Kane is the first one listed, and it's from Opposing Viewpoints. And I glance down and I see Olson is on there, and that's from Opposing Viewpoints. And then I see Verheyen, Geert, P, and et al. Means and others, so I can see there are two sources from SPC. There's one from outside, perfectly acceptable. This paper could make an A because of that. All right, so that's one of the things I check to begin with. And then what you need to be careful of is that if you put a quote in your paper, you need to explain it. So one of the reasons novice writers don't get enough length is that you don't make sure that the quote connects to the point of the paragraph. So this says, so what this author did say, the rating of a game plays a crucial role in the type of content that is presented in a game, and parents have to pay attention to that rating. That just basically says what the quote said. So if you have a tendency to be short, and some of you do, don't end the paragraph with a quote with someone else's words. End it with your basically paraphrasing what the quote said. And you don't have to give credit because I can tell that's what you're doing, okay? So that's the first point. It's a nice job. Now we're on to the second one. Other people can have a drastic effect on an individual while playing a game. That's the B point, so we're cool on that. Violent games can first be introduced to an individual through another person. The type of reaction to violent video games can be influenced by other people's reactions as well. Let's see. Okay. In Friendly Fire, longitudinal effects of exposure to violent video games on aggressive behavior and adolescent friendship dyads. That's the title, isn't it? And look how many words that added to this paper. The author state. Now, I see the author state. So it's got to be something that has more than one author, so I'm aware of that. And so I'll double check that in a second. We emphasize that peers play an important role in enhancing the effects of exposure to violent games, in particular for adolescents, and that hits 10-year-old boys, okay? I'm just going to tell you, they're coming up on adolescence. And that the social context in which games are played is an important avenue for future research. And then I see Verheyen et al. In parenthetical reference after it. So if you have, and so when you go over the works cited, you're going to see that that's that last source. And et al. Means that there's more than 3 other authors, is what that means. So you can't ever just say, you have to be careful. Et al. Means many more. You're not going to say in your sentence, you wouldn't have said, in Friendly Fire, and you give the whole title, then you would go by Verheyen and et al. That doesn't make sense. You have to go, that's why you have to say the authors. You have to be careful about that, okay? And so you have to tell me in parenthetical reference which one it is. And so that's why it's at the end of that long quote there. This essentially means that others' involvement is what creates aggressive behavior and not video games. And if you stop and think about how often, and when you're walking down the hall in the school, I'll just pick on that. How often kids start shoving, you just start shoving each other. It's your buddy and you shove him and he shoves you back and then all of a sudden a lot of people are shoving. Yeah, it's our behavior that we display towards other people that tends to be aggressive. And I can't blame kids pushing each other in the hallway on a violent video game. That's just somebody being a jerk. You know how kids act in the halls at school? That hasn't changed, I don't think, in 100 years. Well, they may not, in one room schoolhouse you wouldn't have halls. Okay. The authors back up this claim by stating at the same time no support was found for a direct actor effect of violent gaming on aggression. So again, we have the parenthetical reference, and notice when you look at the parenthetical reference, it's always at the end of the sentence. There's no punctuation inside those closing quotation marks. The period to end the sentence comes after parenthetical reference. It has to be part of the sentence. In MLA, we don't put it after the quote and I got this a lot on this character analysis I just graded. You put it at the end of the sentence so it doesn't interrupt the flow of the thought of the ideas going across. ACA, a lot of the others put it right after. As soon as you mention the authors or whatever, they put it right after that. They put the year is what they give you. I don't care what year it was written. Well, with violent video games, I would. But in the sense that we want the flow of the sentence to stay smooth. And then it ends with, overall, the evidence above shows that peers are much more direct in creating violence than the game itself. Notice, there are no transitions to the next paragraph. If you don't do them well, it sounds like it's off topic. So avoid those transitions to your next point. In case you don't do it well, then I have to take off points. So we come over to the last one. The most important factor to view is the personality of the individual playing the game. That's the C point. The personality of the individual. So we're right on topic. We're doing what we're supposed to do. An individual's personality before and after playing a game are very important variables to weigh. While there has been extensive testing done on this subject, all of these old experiments fall flat in one way or another. An example of this, don't go to sleep on me. An example of this is that scientists conduct experiments that do not accurately reflect real world scenarios. I want to talk about the word scientist. For some reason, many students, when you say the word scientist, you stop there. You don't put the T on the very end. And so when the word is spelled S-C-I-N-T-I-S-T, that's a singular, scientist. If you're talking about one more than one, you've got to have the S on it. That's an error I see many, many times, particularly when some of you are doing a little more technical topics, so you need to be careful to make sure that you get, if you're talking about more than one scientist, you put an S on the end of the word. But that's the big, how often you listen to kids talk, and this is something I've been hearing for 20 years. We don't put the S's on the ends of words. And so we've got to be careful because that hurts our grammar in an English class. So we've got our final source, Cheryl K. Olson, finds that experimental settings are not only artificial, but turn gameplay into game work. That's interesting. So I go look, there she is on the other, on the works cited page, and I will talk about what's wrong on that page in a minute. This statement shows that the majority of older studies are flawed based on how they ran their experiment. It should be experiments, not experimentation. Studies that actually have concrete data have shown that aggressive people are drawn to aggressive games. Olson states, aggressive children may seek out violent games, and violent games may reinforce aggressive behavior. It has also been shown that crime rates have reduced in the past 20 years, as the number of video games have greatly increased in that time. Kane backs this argument by stating, so we're going back to the first author. So if you're going to notice, we've had quotes from 3 sources. We've had multiple quotes. We had 2 quotes from I can't say the name. I've forgotten it. Verheyen. And now we've had 2 from Kane. Now we're getting a 3rd one. All right? So there's about 6, 7 quotes in this essay. I'll just give you a heads up on that. And Kane backs this argument by stating a working paper from economists on violence and video game sales published in 2011 found that higher rates of violent video game sales in fact correlated with the decrease in crimes, especially violent crimes. Now that's like the 7th one. The evidence listed above shows that aggressive people enjoy violent games as a way to release aggression. This information proves that video games are not to blame and actually improve behavior. Okay, so now we're down to the conclusion. There's no counter argument because this is my first year to have the counter argument in there. I have one person, there is no counter argument. She's arguing, and there may be somebody else doing it. If you're arguing about the fact that children's behavior has gotten worse and you're providing the reasons, there is nothing out there about how their behavior has not gotten worse. It just doesn't exist. So you really don't have that topic. You can't do a counter argument, except to say that people aren't studying that kids are behaving better. That's just not a topic that's happening. So the conclusion, there's no concrete data that explicitly states that video games create increased aggression. Ratings for games are in place to ensure that the consumer can personally consider violence within a game. Peers have a more direct effect on aggression than video games do. Aggressive people are naturally drawn to violent games as a way to release aggression. All of these factors show that video games do not negatively affect behavior. They're simply the scapegoat to blame bigger problems on. Okay, there's not a single restatement of the thesis. The author split it into 3, and that's fine. But you're going to see there's plenty of links. So let's go look at the works cited page. You do not underline the title works cited. It should not be underlined. It's not. There's no reason for that, and that's the only thing wrong with it. Okay. So it's a pretty good paper. I want to say it made into 92, 93, 94 range as a grade. Because I didn't point out all the errors, the grammar and punctuation errors, because I do take off for those. So when you're working on yours, you need to definitely have this handy so to make sure that you quote correctly, okay? And what I want to take a second to talk about is your rough outlines. I got these done last week, or this past weekend. And what I noticed was many of you on your thesis statements would say, in my opinion, I believe that. There's no first person. You don't put that in the essay. This is a formal document. It should be written in 3rd person. The reader knows it's your opinion. And you also would not give me a thesis statement, one sentence that has your stance on the issue and the 3 ways in which you're going to prove your side of the issue, okay? It has to be one sentence. That's the final sentence, okay, of your introduction is that. And I saw first person. I saw way too much first person. And then some of you didn't really do that much on your outline. So if you'll go in, you'll see if you'll go in and look at your grade, I said no first person, you need to give me one sentence thesis, I told you what I want, or you're lacking parallelism. In a thesis, parallelism is created in the 3 points that you're making. So let's go look at this thesis statement. It's back on the first page. It says, an understanding of the rating system that games go through, the effect other people can have while playing a game. All of these 3 points are all the objects of prepositions. Of the rating system that games go through, of the effect other people can have while playing a game, of the personality of the individual. This one's set up parallel. So when I'm talking about doing the death penalty is ineffective because it doesn't deter crime, semicolon. It is administered inequitably. Do you see how I'm setting it up? I'm using it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, and it is immoral. You have to create parallel structures, and that's what that means, okay? And let's see. So, if you did a decent job of filling out that rough outline, all you've really got to do is type it up and put in your sources and do a works cited. You will not get full credit on the works cited if you don't, on the rough outline, if you don't have a works cited with it. And they're easy to do. If you don't remember how to do it, go into course resources. I have how to create the works cited. I've got how to copy the stuff and put it into the works cited, okay? I'm trying to think what else. So, you need 2 copies, or, well, we don't know how, I only have one person in here, so nobody's registered for 8 a.m. next semester. I'm surprised at all. Well, you know, it's one of those things. I do know, Wellman, you've registered, Haley, you've registered, and I know Health Centers doesn't take 1302 until their senior year, so I'll have a lot smaller group in here this next semester. But you need to make sure and get this done, okay? And as a heads up, when you turn in your draft, that's worth 25 points. Normally I've split the draft and the peer revision in half, 12 and a half and 12 and a half. I'm actually giving you an extra 25 points. You turn in your rough draft, you get 25 points for that. You do peer revision and get it turned in on Friday, that's 25 points. So you're actually getting extra credit by doing this week's work, okay? So make sure you get it done. And I don't want any excuses. Don't tell me your internet's not working. You're at school, get to working. I don't know what's going on over here. I'm gonna have to go see if I can find Shane. So that's really all I've got for today. If you have any questions, please send me a course message or an email. I will actually, I forgot what I was gonna say. Good morning, Caleb. But we will take some time on Thursday for me to go over the discussion board that's part of the final and the final exam, since I don't have access to, I can't show anything on my screen. But I'm hoping that that's what the problem is that the strip went dead. I don't know, it's not lit up. So that's really all I've got. I graded your rough outline. Okay, so that's all I got, Reed. Okay, so let me make a note. And I told you
Ms. Thompson?
he did the job, so. Yeah, he was.
Ms. Thompson?
Medical insurance stopped. So he had to so he's working for the post office now. So he's doing everything online, which you really could in this class, but he asked permission and I gave it to him. Oh, the other thing is I have been arranging, if you missed quizzes, and let me tell you, this class missed a lot. There's now an announcement in Blackboard that just went in, and it tells you that the makeup on the quizzes is next week. All of the quizzes that your section is missed will open up on Monday at 7 a.m. They'll close at midnight on Friday the 10th, and you have to go into the week in which they were scheduled. And I've put in there what happens in what weeks. In the announcement it tells you. So if you miss, say, week 1 quizzes, week 1 quizzes were chapters 1 and 2. You'll have to go to week 1 to take it. I can't reassign a test I've already given to a new week. You have to go back to the week it was scheduled. And I'm not going to tell you which ones you missed. Go into my grade book and you'll see. If you don't have a grade, you missed it, you've got to make it up, okay?
Was there a quiz last week?
No. We do have one other quiz next week. Chapter 5, because I neglected to give it to you guys and assign it at the right time, everybody got 15 points on Chapter 5. I put that in, nice and easy. Chapter 16 was 2 weeks ago, went back early in argumentation. But we do have our final grammar quiz next week, and it is Wednesday. If you do not take it on Wednesday, you don't get to make it up. I'm sorry. Enough of this, people not taking quizzes when they're assigned. I'm allowing you to make all the other ones. If you don't take grammar quiz 4, you get a 0. All right? But it is just going to be over everything. It's over fragments, fused run-on sentences. It'll also have subject, verb, pronoun, antecedent, agreement, errors, and apostrophes on it. And that's all it is. And it's just like the other ones, true, false, okay? And I'm gonna go see if I can find the tech guy to see if we can figure out what's going on here, so, I don't really have a lot of comments. We went over the sample essay, okay? I'll be back in just a second. Let me go see if Tim's there, so I can try to get things working. And the good news is, the final exam has been done, so you actually have access to the final exam. In week 16, okay? And you don't have to come and do it. You just have to come. That's all, I mean, okay. This is the IT guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's been alive, so, that's right. So, do that one. I mean, I checked it, make sure everything was plugged in.
I'm just checking something.
Well, like I try to show the document camera, I get this message, PC input, see, my PC's working, but it's
Right.
not charging.
I just, I thought it was on.
It's not. See, it's the same color when it's not plugged in.
Right.
But I come down here, and is the button supposed to be lit up on the strip down here?
Let me see the strip. Well, you would've thought.
I switched the
Oh,
outlet.
you did? Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
switched
you
the
did,
outlet.
you did the good
I
stuff.
tried.
Let me go grab another one.
And we'll see if that's possibly.
Yeah,
the
and see
issue.
if that's just, I think that's it. I think that's what's going on here.
Well, nothing.
Hopefully it's not the power here. Maybe it broke the,
Well, I'll try another one. What do the green dots mean, that they've been checked?
I don't know what those mean.
Nothing happened.
Any chance will that reach? Just okay, let me go grab another one.
Okay. Okay.
I think you're right, though. I think
Well, when the document camera wouldn't show, because I thought, oh, I can teach, I can still use the document camera.
Right.
The document camera does nothing, but it's plugged into that too, so. It's a pain. I don't know, I guess strips wear out, don't they?
Strips, like the.
Yeah, there's one,
Yeah.
there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things plugged into the strip, so. And on top of everything else. Okay, at least there's space under there, if we can put a new one in. It's at least not sitting on it. Okay. That's like, what else can go wrong? I mean, if I try to show you, it's just that. So what this does on this sample essay, it's a pretty good job, okay? You've got, here's your thesis, and there's the first part of the thesis, the 3 points that are gonna be used for proof. You don't have 3 points, you don't have the strangest points on your death penalty. Why? I'm just curious.
I'm just not good at writing it.
Well, but how many times I've given you a thesis statement for it? It's not a deterrent. It costs you money. There's A, B, and C, and that's what they're gonna prove. So, actually, it's got some good, examples that got close. Nothing else going on, okay? One second. I mean, it's probably been the same chord for ever.
Oh, I'm sure.
Wait, or maybe it's not, maybe
Oh. That's it.
that one was unplugged.
I did not see that one.
I didn't
Okay.
either.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, listen, I would have looked,
That's all right.
is that not crazy? Why are there two?
Well, probably because they didn't have the right length or something.
Okay.
It wouldn't reach all the way.
Okay.
Hey, that'll work, that'll work.
Hey, it's good to know.
That's all right.
I don't know how it got unplugged.
It was powered off. I don't know how it got powered off.
Well, that's just it. The only person in here is me.
Right.
And I haven't been in that
Right.
drawer. I have no need. I've had everything up. Okay. Oh, well, unless they plug in there to,
Unless the plug got kicked and laid on it, I don't know.
all right, that's okay. All right. If you guys want a minute or two, now that we've got it worked, thanks, Shane.
You're welcome.
I looked and I went, oh my God, there's another strip. I didn't check that one. Okay. Okay. I wanna show you week 15 really quick, okay? So, since won't have to spend time on this on Thursday, all right? In week 15, which is next week, it's got the reflective discussion board. Turn it on. Reflective discussion board. And basically what it tells you, it gives you the instructions. It says, you're gonna create a thread that will have 3 sections or paragraphs, one for each of the essays written this semester, the narrative, compare and contrast, and the argumentative / summary. You must give what the assignment is, what you wrote about, what errors there were, what you did well, what you did bad, and the paragraph should end with what you learned from the assignment as the final comment. So, all you're gonna do is go in there, and create thread, and you're gonna go reflection, paragraph, you can put on whatever title you want on it, okay? But I would come in and I would go narrative, and I'd leave some space, compare and contrast, and then I'd go down and do, summary / argumentative. Okay, and then you can go ahead and do what information, you already have the narrative back, you already have the compare and contrast back, you have the summary back, so you can fill in those blanks very easily. But all I ask that you do is wait, don't click submit, click save draft. And when you save draft, it'll be in there. And if for some reason you get here and you can see create thread, grade discussion forum, and I get your argumentative essay back to you so you can make your comments about that. You get over here and you save that draft and you go, I can't find it. If you look for search, you'll see display over here. If display doesn't show up, look for show all, and your draft will appear, because sometimes that happens. And so when you need to go back in and write on it, you just come in here and click on edit, and it brings back up, and you can fill in whatever, so you can work on it at your leisure. But this is worth 75 points. The final exam in this class this is the research for the final exam. I'm having you go back and look at what you did on all the essays. All right, save draft. Actually, I think, sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and publish, just so you can see how I created the little sections, okay? So, the final exam, what you've done with this is you've done the research for the final exam, okay? Somebody send me a message. All right, so go into week 16, and it tells you your final exam is due by 10 a.m. on Tuesday, December 14th. That's an essay, okay? It's due by 10 a.m. on Tuesday, December 14th. You don't have to come to class. You can turn it in, okay? If it's not in by 10 a.m., it's a 0. It's a final exam. You don't turn it in when you feel like it. You have to have it done by 10 a.m., or you will get a 0 on it. I'm not going to call your facilitators. I'm not going to send SPC students an email. If I don't have it by 10, it's a 0. That's 100 points. You just lost 10% of your grade right there, okay? So, and this tells you what it is. Each student will compose a reflective essay that requires them to look back on this semester and see how he or she has evolved as a writer. The student should consider what kind of writer he or she was as the semester began, examine how each assignment impacted or affected his or her abilities. If you don't want to examine all of them, you don't have to. You can just talk about the ones that you learned something from. And decide what was the most important lesson gained from the course. This essay may have I in it, or me, or my, but there's no reason for just and don't use you. You're not gonna talk to me, it's not a conversation. It should contain at least 3 paragraphs consisting of an introduction with a thesis, a body, and a conclusion. The paper should be formatted to MLA standards, which means, double spacing, correct heading, and indentation of paragraphs. It should be no more than 2 pages in length. If it's only 1, you will not make above a low B if you only have 1 page, I'll tell you right now. It needs to be about 1.5 pages. So we're only talking 400, somewhere in that range, okay? So, that's all you have to do. Okay, that's the final exam, but you're gonna see that that reflective discussion board is the research to write this paper, okay? And this is a big drive in education, is metacognition. It's getting you to think about what you've been doing, to look back on, well, did I learn anything? You know, I do read them, I do not grade them like I will grade your essays. I'm not gonna sit there and print them out. I will spend 5 minutes on each final, at the max. I will read it and think, ooh, you still don't have topics in it, just, ooh, you don't have a thesis, that's what I'll do. And so, every time I find something wrong, I'll take points off, but, I mean, I very rarely have ever had to give a failing grade on a final. The only time I had to give a failing grade on a final was when somebody plagiarized it. And this individual wrote words that I knew they didn't know what they meant. So, okay, so that's what the final exam is. But again, on this argumentative essay, if after peer revision you're happy with it, you don't want to ask any more questions, you can turn it in early. But it's not due until Tuesday the 7th. And you know what, let me go ahead and put that in there in that way. I'm gonna take care of business here. Trying to get everything done. So, like, okay. I just don't know how that got turned. You know what? I bet if they vacuumed and they hit the cord, it might have turned it and flipped it off. Maybe that's what happened. That's about, because I haven't been in there at all. I wasn't in there yesterday, but it worked fine. Okay, so 8:15. And just to remind you, when you turn this in, you turn it in through Turnitin, which is a plagiarism checker. So if you accidentally use too many words from the author and you haven't changed it, it's going to show up, okay? Just remember though, it's Turnitin, you have to get a receipt. You have to submit it, or you have to upload it, and then they'll give you a preview, and you have to scroll down, and there's a second button you have to submit to make sure that it's in. Okay. Oh, due date's December 7th. I already had that in there. That's amazing.